Yo, yo, yo! What's going on? Man, it is standing room only in here tonight. There is not enough seat for everybody in the house, but that's a good thing. Welcome, we're glad you're here. If you haven't met, I saw there was like 20 Connect cards. There's like 20 new people here tonight. I'm Theo, I work here. This is what I do every week. And so if you show up here every week, you'll get to see me. And maybe you like that, maybe you don't. I don't know. But I like being here. I like seeing y'all. Do y'all like seeing me? Yeah. Okay, we like to build one another up here. All right, well, hey, look, since there's so many people here that are new tonight, I want to take an opportunity. I would love for you guys to have just a little bit of time tonight. I know we play more games than we usually do, but I want you to have a little bit of time tonight to meet your leaders. And so I'm going to try and go through this sermon pretty quick, and then we'll have another song at the end, and then we're going to have a little bit of time in groups tonight. That sound good to y'all? Yeah. All right. Well, if we're going to do that, I'm going to need y'all to be locked in, especially my guys over here, okay? I'm going to need y'all to be locked in. All right, here we go. So a few years ago, back in college, you're going to hear me say that a lot tonight, back in college, I was running a 5K, and I was feeling really good. I was actually in first place. And I'm running this 5K, I'm like, all right, I'm looking around, nobody's around. And I'm like, my chest is puffed out a little bit, I'm like, I'm the king of the world right here. I'm running, I'm beating everybody. The spectators are cheering, they're like, you're doing so good. And I'm like, I know. I just keep running, I'm running. And all of a sudden, there's not any spectators. And all of a sudden, I'm like, where is everybody? And before long, I realized I had wandered off course. And instead of running a 5K, I ended up running a 10K, which for the uninitiated, I ran an extra 3 miles than I needed to run because I went the wrong way. I went the path of most difficulty. And by the time I got back, even though I was in first place for the entire time until I went off course, I got to see everybody back at the finish line. They're enjoying their orange juice and their banana and their snack. And I'm like running across the finish line. I ran twice as far as they did. I'm sweating, I'm tired, and I'm like, I see them getting their medals, and I'm like, that should be me. That should be me. All because I ran off course. I took the wrong path. Now, me running off course, taking the wrong path, is actually very similar to modern dating. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we're in a dating and relationship series. This is the last week we're talking about dating. Next week we're going to talk about marriage, and then we have a new series for you guys. But now, back in the day, you heard me talk about this before, there was no such thing as dating. You would just, marry a girl and marry the guy that was in your village that you grew up in. It was really simple. And now, figuring out how to reach the destination has gotten a lot harder. And we're like, I need a map. I need a compass. Do I go this way or do I go that way? How do I go? Do I run this direction or this direction? And it's confusing. And I will say, as a single dude in his 30s, as a single man in his 30s, it's difficult, y'all. It's a tough world out there. It's really difficult. And you wouldn't believe how many young women I meet that are like, it'd be nice if I could just go to India and have an arranged marriage. How many people say that? Because they're like, I want to take it out of my hands. Yeah, some of y'all are like, me too. Arranged marriage would be great. And maybe not. Maybe some of y'all are not about that because you're like, I don't want the romantic, storybook romance. And if you want that, well, that's not real. Sorry, that's not real. That doesn't really exist. It's a fantasy, okay? So, the reason that they say that is because they just want it to be simple. Can I just be married already? That would be so much easier if I was just already married. But what we really need, instead of taking the most difficult path, is we need a map to help us navigate through the process. Everybody say process. We need a map to help us navigate through the process. See, that is what dating is. Dating is a process. It is not a status to stay in. You are moving from point A to point B. That is the goal. You are not just trying to be in your relationship status your whole life. Back in the day, there was a really old social media. When I was y'all's age, it was called Facebook. And when you dated somebody and you were getting serious and you wanted the world to know, you would get on Facebook and you would make it official. And you would say, I am in a relationship with so-and-so. We are going public to the world. We want everybody to know that we are official. He is mine. She is mine. We are together. And you would be Facebook official. And at school, you'd be like, oh my gosh, did you see that so-and-so? They went Facebook official. It was like a really big deal. It's a process to move through. You are trying to get from point A to point B. Point A is singleness. Point B, the end of the destination, is marriage. And like I talked a lot about last week, the reason we should date ever is to look for someone to get married to. Now, a lot of people in middle school and high school are not dating for that reason. I can give you a whole list of different reasons if you're dating. I can walk through just a few right now. Maybe it's because you're lonely. Maybe it's because you want to feel validated. Maybe because you want someone who's going to like you, who's going to hold your hand, tell you you're cute, tell you you're pretty, something like that. But the reason we date, the purpose of dating is to get married. And so therefore, there's not really a point to it in middle school. And if you don't believe me, you can ask your leaders about their dating experiences in middle school and high school, and you can ask them, was that a good thing? Are you glad that you did that? And they're going to be like, no, don't make the same mistakes I did. That's what I'm telling you right now. Now, some of y'all think, okay, process, Theo. Some of y'all in here, you're like math. You like math? Anybody like math? Some of y'all engineers, okay? And some of y'all, you're like, I can do this. I can do a process, Theo. If you give me a set of instructions, I can get from point A to point B. If you give me this stool right here, and you give me all the supplies, and you give me an instruction manual, I can build the stool. I got that. But that's not what dating is, because human beings are involved, and human beings are dynamic. Instead of thinking of it, this 12-step process, if I just say this, and then I just do this, and then I just ask her to be my girlfriend, and then one day I ask her to marry me, and boom, there you go. The stool is done. Doesn't work like that. It's actually like crossing an ocean. And in order to cross the ocean, you actually need the right tools to help you. If you're sailing from New York to Great Britain, you don't have a 12-step process. Oh, you got to get to this island, and then you got to get to this iceberg, and you got to turn right instead of left. Sorry, Titanic. It's not how it works. You need tools. You need a compass. You need a map. You need to know how to look at the stars. You need to know how to analyze these things in order to make it safely from one place to the next. And dating works the same way. So I'm going to give you tonight 6 principles. And I'm giving you these principles not so that you'll use them right now, hopefully, because hopefully you're going to take my advice and you'll use them one day when dating actually makes sense. But if you write these down, you apply them to your life, it will be a manual on how to best approach dating one day. Number 1, first one is prayerfully. You should approach dating prayerfully. Why? Well, everything we should approach with prayer. We have the God of the universe on our side, and He wants to listen to us, and He wants to hear our requests, and He wants to hear our prayers. And so when the God of the universe is on our side, let's invite Him into the process with us. Let's have Him be a part of it. And you know what this is going to do? This is going to take away the desperation of dating. You're not going to have fear anymore when God's on your side. The fear of being rejected, the fear of being alone, you don't have to worry about anymore because God's accepted you. Because you're never alone because God's on your side. And so when you invite God into the process and you pray about it, He takes the fear away. He gives you trust. You know that He's in control. And you can have peace. And you know that you're never alone. Even if you don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, you're never alone. 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. If dating, relationships, even friendships, if they make you anxious, if they make you nervous, cast your anxiety on God. He wants to hear about it. He cares for you. He cares about you. And here's what's going to happen. When that vertical connection is strong, when your connection with God is strong, it's going to impact the horizontal connection. And you're going to have a strong connection with those around you. Number 2, second principle. If you're taking notes, see the girls are taking notes. Guys, we got to step up. We got to step up, okay? I see a few. Bring a journal, okay? Your journal will not beep at you. It will not send you notifications. Bring something. You'll remember it better when you write it down. Number 2 is clarity. You should date with clarity. So let's say that you're living your life, you're pursuing God, you're following Jesus, you're running after Jesus, and you see people around you that you're interested in. You're attracted to them. You think you're cute, that they're cute, You connect well with him, so what should you do? You should initiate with clarity. You should be clear about what you are looking for, what you're interested in. And guys, we struggle with this. This is a challenge. Ephesians 4:15, Paul tells that believers need to speak the truth in love. So we need to tell people the truth in love. That's what we're called to do. Now, that's why, guys, we talk specifically to you. This is kind of nice. We're not going to do this every week, but now I can just come over here, I can talk to the guys, and ladies, they're just going to be like, they're going to agree. Guys, we, biblically, the Bible says we are called to be the leaders. The leaders in our marriage, the leaders in our relationships, the leaders for our future children. And one day, God is going to call you to be the pastor of your family. You're going to be needing to lead your family spiritually. And therefore, it is on us to take the leadership. And if we are interested in a girl, we're the ones that got to put our necks on the line. We're the ones that got to go out on a limb, and we got to ask the girl out. Okay? Now, girls, I'm talking to y'all. Girls, you do not want, if you are interested in a guy, you do not want to have to be the one that makes the first move and asks them out. Because if you are the one taking the first step in the relationship, you're taking the initiative, you're taking the leadership, and the man is supposed to be the one who's the leader, the initiator, the one who's leading the charge, and you are taking the first step, you are already setting up your relationship for you're going to be the leader. Let me tell you guys a statistic, the Pew Research Center. This is a really interesting statistic, and some of you, this is your family. You're going to relate to this. If your mom and your dad are not followers of Jesus, they don't go to church, that means that when you leave the household, you're 18 years old, you have a 7% chance of becoming a Christian, of staying a Christian. If your mom and dad don't follow Jesus, some of you in here, you're like, my mom and dad do not have a relationship with God, they don't go to church. If your mom has a relationship with Jesus, but your dad doesn't care. Your mom goes to church, your mom wants you to be involved in youth group, your mom wants you to go to camp, go to the weekend, but your dad's like, no big deal, whatever. He's not involved, he's disengaged. You have a 27% chance of becoming a Christian. And this is the importance of our role, guys, as leaders in the family. If dad is taking his responsibility seriously, if he is partnering with the wife, leading the family, leading the charge, making it a priority for him and his family to have a relationship with God, the children have a 93% chance when they leave the house to have a relationship with God where they continue to follow Jesus. Women, that's not to say your role is not important. It's very important. Nobody can replace moms in life. But guys, I say that to tell you that it's on us to step up and be the initiators. And you know what? I did not like this idea. And if you're sitting here right now and you're like, I don't like that, Theo, that makes me nervous. How do I know that they like me? What if I get it rejected? I felt the same way. When I was in college, I didn't like that. I was like, couldn't girls just give me a hint? Couldn't they just tell me that they like me and then I can ask them out? And take all the risk-taking out of it for me? That's what I wanted. But I didn't like that because I was insecure. And I was afraid of rejection. But if you're accepted by Jesus, it doesn't matter what human rejects you. You have all you need in Jesus. And when you know that, you can go out on the limb. And you know what now? In college, I didn't like that. But you know what now? I like that. I'm drawn to when a girl, a woman of God, she's being patient. She's trusting in the Lord. She's not taking matters into her own hand. Because girls, you're called to wait. You're called to wait for the guys to take the first step. And I'm drawn to a girl that is confident, she's secure in the Lord, she's waiting on the Lord, and she's just trusting in Jesus, and she's following Jesus. And she's waiting for the right man to come around and ask her out. And she's not putting herself out there, she's not showing herself, oh my gosh, boys, give me attention, boys, will you like me, I like you. She's reserved and she's waiting. She's waiting on the Lord. That's what's attractive to me. And so we should have clarity. And you know what, guys? What's what we're called to be? We got to be men. We got to step up. We got to ask her on a date. And you know what? She might say no. But even if she says no, she's going to appreciate your boldness. And she's going to appreciate your clarity. And here's another thing, guys. Don't just ask a girl to hang out. Be like, hey, you want to hang out? What does that mean? Be like, no. Say, I'm interested in you, I like you, I want to get to know you better, can we spend some time together? Be clear. Be men, okay? All right, next. Purity, all right? I know a lot of y'all, you talk all sorts of stuff in health class, but I'm going to need y'all to be serious here for a minute, okay? Purity, this is important. I'm not going to spend a lot of time and a lot of detail going into this topic with middle school students, but I want you to understand that your actions have consequences. And what you do and what you say in your relationships now, high school, college, with people who are not your wife, there are consequences to your actions. And if you cross boundaries and you do things that you shouldn't be doing with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you will carry those memories, you will carry those images, and you will carry the consequences of that into your marriage. Now, I know for me, when I heard stuff like that, I would feel shame, I would feel guilt for ways I messed up when I was in high school, when I was in college. And I want you to know, if you feel that there's grace. God can heal every wound. He can give you a new beginning. He forgives every sin, and if you've made mistakes, you're not defined by your mistakes. You're not defined by any sins you've committed. You're defined by the grace of Jesus. He died on the cross for you, and you are a child of God. Your mistakes do not define you. But actions do have consequences. If they didn't, just do whatever you want with whoever you want. If actions didn't have consequences. But they must have consequences. I've had to live with past mistakes I've made in relationships. And it hurts. And I want you to avoid that pain if possible. And sometimes students ask me the question, well, Theo, like, in relationships, and this isn't something you're going to think about, as a middle schooler too much, but when you get into high school, you will. How far is too far with boundaries? And I can spend all night getting into specifics, but it's whatever causes you to lust. Look with me in Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. It says, you have heard that it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with a lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So Jesus is speaking to people who are like, look, Jesus, on the outside, I look really good. You can't tell I've messed up. I've never cheated on my wife. That's what adultery is when you cheat on your spouse. I've never cheated on my wife. And Jesus is like, hey, that's great. Your actions matter, but your heart matters more. And if you've looked at someone and you've had dark thoughts and you're like, man, I would like to cheat on my wife with this person, that's the same as committing adultery. And the Pharisees thought they were obeying the law, but Jesus is saying what matters more is our heart. But what did Jesus mean when he said lust? Well, lust can mean a lot of things. Lust can be, I lust for power, I lust for fame, I lust for money. But lust most often means wrongly placed sexual desire. That's what lust is. Wrongly placed. Now, here's why I say wrongly placed. God made sex, guys and gals, and it's a good thing. And if you have desire, that means you're a human being. That's a good thing. But when we misuse the desire that God has given us, when we misuse the desires that God has given us, that is when it becomes a sin. Because that desire is meant for only one place. Between a husband and a wife in marriage. And when we take that desire outside of marriage, we sin. And so that can mean many things. It can just be your thoughts. It can be looking at pornography. It can be looking at another person and your mind goes to a dark place. That is the same as adultery. Why? Because you're like, well, Theo, I'm not married. How can I cheat on my wife if I'm not married? But here's the thing. One day, you will be. And you are using thoughts and actions for a future somebody today. You're cheating on your future husband or wife. So how far is too far? It's whatever causes you to lust. It's whatever leads you into temptation. Whatever leads your brain to the dark place. And only you can know that. For some of us, it might be holding hands. Maybe that leads you to a dark place. Maybe it's a hug. Whatever it is, whatever it causes your mind to drift, do not give girlfriends or boyfriends privileges that only husbands and wives get. Don't do it. Don't make those mistakes and have those regrets and bring that baggage into marriage. Okay? Number 4, graciously. You're to date graciously. What does that mean? Well, if you're a follower of Jesus, if you're a Christian, that means that you have been adopted by God. and God is king. That means you are a son or daughter of the king. And because you're a son or daughter of the king, it means that you are royalty. And that means when you date someone, you need to treat them like royalty. You should respect them. You should be gracious. You should be loving. You should be kind. Think about it like this. When you're a parent one day, and you have kids, if someone treats your kids poorly, you're going to be like, okay, you don't just have a problem with my kids, you have a problem with me. Well, what happens when we treat God's kids poorly? Suddenly, we got a problem with God. I don't want to have a problem with God. And you don't want to be that past relationship with a guy or girl that people look back on and are like, oh man, that was a mistake. That person caused me damage. That person caused me trauma. You don't want to be that person. And so you treat them like they're a child of God. Like they're a son or daughter of the king. You want to be the person who would, in their past, if you don't marry this person that you date, that's loving, that's kind, that's gracious, that they look back on and they're like, man, I'm so thankful for the way that they treated me when we were together. Not for your glory, but for God's glory. Because you love God and you love His children. Number 5 is in community. You want to be in community. Here's what this means. When I was growing up, and especially in high school, you're going to see this a lot. When people start dating, they stop hanging out with you and your friends, and they only hang out with each other. And they lose themselves in the couple, and they start hanging out with their friends. And you don't want to be that friend. Because you need to have your girls in your corner. You need to have your guys in your corner. First off, because it's healthy. Because you don't want to spend every waking moment of every waking day with that boyfriend or girlfriend. You can ask the married people in the room. The married couples. They don't spend every waking moment, every waking day of every hour with their husband or their wife. You would get sick of each other. You would get tired of each other. But also, you need your guy time and you need your girl time. You need those time together. But secondly, you need people in your life who love you and care about you, that can look at your relationship and say, hey, this is really good. I love what I'm seeing. They affirm you. They validate you. They encourage you. Or you need people in your life that say, hey, man, you might need to rethink this girl. You might need to rethink this guy. I see some red flags. And when they tell you that, if they love Jesus and they love you, you need to listen. You need to listen to their advice. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no guidance, the people fail. But in abundance of counselors, there is safety. And so when you have your people on your side, your counselors, you will have success. You need people in your corner. You can't date by yourself. You need to have community. I always tell, or I said this last week, but if they don't come to church, that's a red flag. Ladies, if you want to know if any of these guys are good, or their quality worth dating, you can come ask me. Because I spend time with them and I know them, and I'll tell you yep, or I'll tell you no. So guys, that's why spending time with Jesus and coming to church is important. Because I will know if you're going to be the good Christian leader in a relationship. So girls, that's open anytime. Anytime you want to come ask me, I will tell you the truth about these guys. Guys, same thing. Hey Theo, what do you think about this girl? Do you think it would be good if it worked out? I'll tell you the truth. Probably what I'll tell you is it's not a good idea to date in middle school. Don't do it. All right, last one. Number 6 is patiently. Be patient. Be patient. Don't rush to call them your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or rush to say, I love you. You need time to evaluate. You need to sit back and you need to watch your life. Because look, y'all, anybody can play Christian. Anybody can put on a good face. Anybody can pretend for a while. Ooh, I think she like it like this if I act like this. But over time, the real them is going to come out. And you're going to see their true character, and you're going to see who they really are. Jesus said, you will know my disciples by the fruit that they bear. And you're going to see if someone's really a Christian by the way they live their life. How do you guys know an apple tree is an apple? It grows apples. How long does it take an apple tree to grow its apples? A long time. A long time. So how do you know if someone is a Christian? You're going to see the results. You're going to see the way that they live their life. You're going to see their actions, their character. And you know what? That takes time. Wait long enough to see her character. Wait long enough to see his character. Be patient. Here's a good example. You guys know Frozen, the movie? Remember Hans at the beginning? You remember how he was Prince Charming? You remember how he was a dream come true? They sing a song, love is an open door, everything was great. She's like, I'm in love. And he's like, will you marry me? And she said, yes! And then what happened? He ended up being a bad guy. So girls, if you go on a date with a guy, and the first date, he says, will you marry me? What should you say? That's right. Because it takes time to see their character. So, the band can come back up. There you guys have it. Those are 6 principles to navigate dating. So, I have one more thing I want to say as the band comes back up. So, like I said, I pray that you will use these principles in your life one day. But boys and girls, don't waste your time in this life chasing after some relationship that isn't going to last until marriage. If you use this season of your life, hey, y'all look up before this. If you use this season of your life, the time where you're single, you're free to devote yourself to God, to give Him more of you, spend time in His Word, spend time in community, you will have no regrets. That is the best way you can spend your time. If you spend your time chasing after a relationship, you'll look back on, man, I really wish I wouldn't have said that. I really wish I wouldn't have done that. And maybe you're here tonight, you don't have a relationship with God. Maybe you're like, I don't even see what the point of why I should even care about putting Jesus at the center of my relationship. Well, if you have questions, you can come see me, come see Nathaniel. We'll be in the back. We'd love to tell you about why the most important relationship in your life is not with a guy or girl or your mom or your dad, but it's with Jesus. We're going to stay in our seats for this last song. And we're gonna worship God. Sound good? Let's pray. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for tonight. We thank you for this word. We thank you that you are the creator of relationships. You made us to be in a relationship with you. That's the most important relationship. So God, I pray for all these students, God, that they would see that. That there's no better relationship they can have. There's no more important relationship to lean into, to invest in, to pursue than you, Jesus. And I pray right now in this moment that we pursue you more. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.